There was a point in time where I wasn't building my company for the market anymore. I actually was building it for people who probably would never became a customer. And that's actually one of the most dangerous things any founder can do because you're focusing so much on the criticisms and the people who are outside. You're not even building a business anymore. You're just I don't know. It's like you're spiraling out of control, and criticisms criticism isn't even what destroys like your momentum. And I realize that now because you live and you learn. You start to investigate things and start to realize why certain decisions were made. But the criticism doesn't destroy your momentum. It's allowing the criticism to become an invisible stakeholder in your company. Like you're having board meetings with people who one ain't gonna spend no money with you. Two, they're not even around. Like you're just making these fabricated people up from Twitter. And as a founder, you're charged with a lot. You carry a lot, but most people either they stop too soon because they're in their heads, or they go off the beaten path because they have this invisible stakeholder, this invisible board member who is critiquing everything, and they're just trying to beat them to the punch. So now, don't get me wrong, because I actually like criticism. Like I always say like there's always truth in the critiques, right? There's always like when somebody says, your product sucks or your process suck or you need to do something better. There's always truth in that, right? Because I read the comments. I read all the comments. I be in the comments like this. I say the screenshots. I've been listening to people agree and disagree, and sometimes them trolls they actually tell the truth. And I started looking at trolls and the crowd as people who are exposing like my blind spots, and it don't feel good, right? Because this is your baby, like this is what you building, like this is what you put your all in. You wake up every day and this is all you thought about. So you're building this thing, but then you got people who are attacking and tearing it down, and you want to fight back, right? But you're fighting back with words and being defensive, so much so that you get lost in the whole plot. And I've found myself getting lost in the plot, like reading them comments. I'm looking at what everybody's saying. I'm like, yo, is that true, right? But when you start looking at the criticism, you have to look at it from the lens of this is evidence, not authority, not a decision maker. Criticism is literally just like, okay, that might be true. And when you're creating something and you're building something and you're founding anything, your version one isn't the end. And as a founder, you're always building, iterating, changing, trying things, being ahead of the market, seeing around the corner. You're always in those spaces, and people normally critique the thing that doesn't look finished. But in technology, they'll put out a nice product and then they'll send you like in 2 weeks. Like soon as you download the app, they'll send you a new update. You're like, bro, I literally just downloaded this app. Or sometimes you'll download the app and it has to get updated. Like you get a brand new phone and you have to update the phone when you buy the phone. It's like, bro, ain't this phone brand new? But nobody trips because they become accustomed to this isn't the finished product. But what's out is better than nothing. And what I had to realize was you can't build your company off of your emotions and your heart, and you can't look at the critiques as if they're critiquing you. They're not critiquing you. They're critiquing what they don't understand or what they wouldn't do, or man, how come he get to do that, right? And it has nothing to do with you, and it probably has nothing to do with your company either. But if you get too far in those in them critique rabbit holes, you'll find yourself part of the crowd when the crowd's only created because they're coming together to talk about what you built. And then you leave what you built to go sit with the crowd to listen to what they're talking about, what you built. This is probably one of the craziest things, right? Now, the way that I look at critique, criticism, and the trolls and all those things, I would say like, is it factually true? No, maybe, could be, possibly. Okay, so what you gonna do about it? Because even if someone says something that is hurtful or demeaning or trying to take you down, is there some truth in that? And if it is, what can you do to fix it? Because arguing back ain't gonna fix it. But if you really believe in what you're building at and what you put together and what was laid upon your heart and in your mind and in your dreams, if you really took the charge and said, I'm gonna do this, you're you can't let somebody's disagreement or lack of understanding what your vision is take you off the beaten path, right? And I could slap myself, right? I can tell myself that you let them, distract you. But even that's a learning moment. Even that was a time for me to say, okay, this is where you went off the track at. And I think I was fearful of the criticism. Like not even what they were saying. I was just afraid that they might say something. So I spent like days and founders, as somebody who's founded something that's probably never been done or hasn't been done, you try to build every single day trying to get ahead of them. Like you want to build your company around the objections. Like every day you're like, oh, if they say this, I already got an answer for it. Or if they say this, I already got an answer for it. And it's the funniest thing because you're supposed to be overcoming objections in business and in sales and getting the deal done. But when you in them comments, you start building your business. Your business is like, yep, soon they say this, I got an answer for it. And before you know it, you're so far off the path, off the roadmap. You look back like, man, what am I building? So what I would say, uh, when somebody says nobody needs this, just translate that thing. They ain't never seen that before. That's why they say ain't nobody gonna need it because they ain't never seen it before, right? Or they'll never buy that. You will never buy that, which is perfectly fine. But if you start looking at the criticism and just translating it into what they're actually saying, like you're doing too much. I've never seen someone connect those dots. And I know you know me. I'm one of them dot connectors. I'll bring something that has nothing to do with something and be like, yep, this actually matches with this. And this we can make both of these work. And then somebody will tell you that you're doing too much because they haven't thought about how those things connect or they haven't put those together. It doesn't mean that it's not valuable though. I think sometimes when you're creating something or as a founder, you wear so much of your emotions that the moment somebody say you're doing too much or they ain't gonna buy it or you charging too much, who you think you are, and they start comparing you to things like that, you get so defensive that you lose the thought process or the plan that you set out to build. So you can't even update yourself. You can't even come up with a new version because you didn't even see the first version through. So you went from version one to version one on this side, and then version, like, you just keep doing different versions of version one without saying, okay, this is version one, this is a foundation. Now we want to elevate to version 1.1, 1.2, 1.5. Not, I'm starting over every time somebody give me a critique. And I remember when we had the website up and the copy was smooth, and I saw one comment, I was like, oh no, sir, change the website. Change the website. The whole website. Like, man, like, you gotta change the website because that one person said XYZ, you change the whole site. And then a few months later, somebody say something and you'll say, yep, they said that. So if they said it, then everybody believes that. One person, everybody believes that. And it's funny, I woke up this morning and I told myself, I said, bro, you're letting the voices of 10 to 15 people determine what you're going to drop. You're letting the voices of 10 to 15 people who you probably never going to meet, who probably never going to buy anything from you, you're probably never going to do any business with, determine what you're going to launch. And you kind of look yourself in the mirror and you say, yeah, you're an idiot. 100%. Because invisible stakeholders is a real thing. That's a real thing. And every business has a stakeholder, right? Because you're building things, right? Like, so you're building it for your customers, you're building it for your employees, and then your community, right? Those are stakeholders, but they determine, does your business scale? Are you providing a real service, right? Are you feeding families? You should be taking consideration of what they're saying because they're part of your enterprise. But when you start listening to the trolls and the outside noise and the criticisms, and now you're inviting them, and they have a higher voice than the stakeholders who you're serving. That's a bad business because you're no longer building your business. Now you trying to dodge on traffic for what, when you're supposed to be bringing in traffic. Like, you're supposed to be like bringing in people and getting your name out there, but you're letting invisible people who you don't know, never met, never came and sat down with you and talked about anything, dictate how you build your business, dictate how you serve your clients, dictate the plan you set out to achieve. And that costs a lot because you make decisions slower. You never hit the market. You weren't about being perfect. You're like, yeah, soon as I get this one thing together, now you put this together, and you're using AI, and then you're trying to tell AI, look, let's build this in conjunction. Let's make sure that this don't happen. And it's like, okay, you do that, and you read it, and then you're letting this invisible stakeholder say, yeah, but what about this? Now you change it. And then you find yourself just changing and changing and changing. And I saw a video the other day where the guy says he spent thousands of dollars on credits using AI. And the other guy said, has AI made you any money yet? And he was like, nah, but I'm getting it together. I'm getting it perfect. And you find yourself, and they call it analysis paralysis. I think that's a real thing. But the paralysis comes because you're looking and you're predicting the criticism, and you're not even predicting the market. You're making money in the market. You losing money trying to predict the criticism. That's ass backwards. It's a waste of time. And it's one of those things where every time you do this and you studying the criticism, you have to position it in a box that it belongs in. Criticism is valuable. I value it, right? I study it. I I study how other people critique other people. Like that's just because even in the hate, people are giving you truth. Like they're helping you. Remember, I used to always tell you, like, yeah, your haters gonna help you build this, but you gotta take your emotions out of it though, because it's gonna hurt, and you have to separate yourself from the company. And that's why I say, yes, I'm building a personal brand, but my personal brand isn't the company brand. Because if your personal brand is the company, every attack on the company is an attack on you. And when you walk in the room and all you introduce yourself is as is the company, then every no is a no to you. Every time somebody says, I don't know, I don't want to invest in that. No, I don't want to invest in you. And you go home and say, man, what did I do? How can I make them want to invest in the company? Separate yourself from the company. Separate yourself from that brand. Your brand is not that brand. And I remember when we had the prep school, and the craziness went viral on Twitter. Remember, it was like 2019, 2020-ish, and everything just went viral. It was like, oh yeah, fake this and fake that, and I put myself in that. I was just like, yep, gotta change it because I don't want to be no parts of that. No people weren't even talking to me. People weren't even worried about me. Now, did they critique a program that looked similar? Sure, but they ain't say Reggie. But I just took everything personal, so much so that I, went into hibernation. I was like, nah, bro, I gotta fix this. And them folks ain't never, you know, come at me. And what I realized that the fear wasn't in criticism, it was being right too late. Like, you can critique me, but I know what I'm doing right now is valuable. But that was 6 years ago. So you wasn't right then. You right now. You right now, but you wasn't right then. So at that time, every time somebody said something about what you were doing in the new, it felt like they were saying you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and you don't want to be wrong. Although you can see what it could be and the benefits of it. And I had wrote something. So I said, every founder reaches a point where they have to decide whose voice governs the work. Customers deserve a seat. Evidence deserves a seat. Reality deserves a seat. Fear doesn't. If your business is organized around avoiding criticism instead of creating value, then criticism is already running the company. And I fell victim to that trap. Like everything mattered. Every critique mattered. Every voice mattered, except my own. So as a founder, as a creator, as a visionary, as somebody who wants to make change and do things a different way, not a new way, just different. Like I don't think there's anything that's like new. It's just different. Like I'll do it like this. I don't think that's wrong. Anything wrong with that. And you see now in this time where you got the NIL, the rev share, the eligibility, all these things are like, yo, we was already preparing for this 6-7 years ago. But when you was talking about it and trying to do it, you get attacked because you're way too early, or you don't really know how to put it together, and you're taking these lumps and bruises being out there first, being that pioneer and all those things. But the critique mattered more than the program. And I wonder how many people have stopped building. Because I ain't stopped building. I just started building in silence. Like I was building quietly, right? I'm just being behind the scenes. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm not a behind the scenes quiet type person. I want to be in your face and tell you what the future gonna be. But I really wonder how many people have just abandoned their ideas because of one comment, and they got that screenshot saved to their phone of that one person with no profile picture said that the idea was dumb. It's a tough space, but once you get over that, all your company goes shoot to the moon, and we get in that rocket ship.